Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 21 Hats podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Feldman. This week, Dana White tells Paul Downs and Jay Goltz why she's experiencing FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt over whether she's really ready to sell franchises in Paralee Boyd. She's concerned because her hair salon is having some issues with customer service. On the other hand, her head of operations, Ashley, is telling her, if you wait to expand your business until every customer is happy and until everything is perfect, you will stay at one location for the next 50 years. Plus, Paul resolves his cybercrime, and we find out whether Paul, Jay, and Dana have done anything to prepare for a ransomware attack. It turns out one of them has. Even in good times, owning and running a business can be a lonely pursuit. Our hope is that these weekly conversations will let owners know they are not alone in facing challenges. Same thing with our daily newsletter, the 21 Hats Morning Report, which highlights the most important news of the day for business owners and which you can subscribe to at 21hats.com, where you can also find the transcripts of our podcast episodes and lots of other articles and interviews. Joining me this week on the podcast are regulars Paul Downs, who is founder and CEO of Paul Downs Cabinet Makers, which makes custom conference tables outside of Philadelphia; Jay Goltz, whose companies in Chicago include a picture frame business, artist frame service, and a home furnishing store, Jason Home; and Dana White, who is CEO of Paralee Boyd, a chain of hair salons based in Detroit. The episode is titled, Feeling the FUD. Dana White fears she isn't ready to franchise. Welcome, Paul, Jay, and Dana. It's been a few weeks since we've sat down together. Let's catch up. Dana.
Hey.
What's going on with you? What's new in the world of franchising and Paralee Boyd?
The FUD, as we like to call it in the franchising world. It's called fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The FUD is what's going on.
Wow. What does that refer to?
Fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
About what?
Franchising.
And is that a term that you came up with, or is that what people in the franchising world say?
That's what people in the franchising world say, and I have a bad case of it.
Why?
It's because I've never been good at separating what's going on in my business with the vision for my business. And so here I am. Actually, nothing bad is going on. We just became apprised of a small group of unsatisfied customers, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it, and they're very nasty. So it's leaving us kind of frozen. It's not anything that substantive. It's not anything we can do. I don't like Dana. Well, have you met Dana? No, but I heard. And I don't like the fact that you did my hair so fast. I want to sit here and talk to you. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot. So it's a lot of that. So here I am hearing these things. Oh my goodness, we're not ready. We're not ready. We're not ready. And again, my operations manager, who has operated with, multi-unit franchises, has said, Dana, this is business. This is what's going to happen when you have 5 locations, when you have 20. And if you wait to expand your business until every customer is happy and until everything is perfect, you will stay at one location for the next 50 years. You let me worry about this, and you worry about growing the company. And when it's something that I need you to be brought in on, I will come and get you. And has she pushed back on my standard? Sure. Dana, you don't need to know that. She's absolutely right. You need to focus on this. So I had feared the FUD because I'm thinking, what if we're not ready? Why am I the first African-American hair salon to do this? There's a reason. And it's a secret that I don't know, and I won't find out about it until after I open. What am I thinking? This is stupid. There's, so what, you had the money? Why are you doing this? This is dumb. Like, all of that is going on. But the process itself is going great. We just finished the operations portion. They're putting together my operations manual now. We're on version 2 of the pro forma. The numbers look really good. Oh my goodness. I'm like, wow. Looks really good.
Have you shared any of your FUD with your franchise consultant?
Oh yeah.
And what do they say?
Par for the course. They're like, yep, this is what you go through. But they do a really good job of managing the expectation. They're saying, look at where you are. Here are where other franchises have been. And even if that's not enough for you, let's focus on what you're doing really, really well. there's really not much you're not doing right because you're not a franchise yet. There's certain, yes, some of your processes can be, fine tuned, but you're one person and you're much farther than most of the people we franchise. These processes, a lot of the stuff is already done. For most franchises, they don't even know what is an SOP, right? So she said, that's most. Your numbers are a lot higher than most salons who started. But, I've got pressure when you hear all the negativity. Oh, my goodness. I almost don't even want to announce.
How did you hear about it? Where's it coming from?
So I brought on a new social media manager, and she sent me voicemails from people. One made me cry. A lady said, I'll never be desperate enough to go there again. One lady.
Wait, based upon what? Why was she mad?
I don't know. It's just a lot of negativity and judgment. And I shameful to admit, has literally threw me off my square.
Have there been any positive messages, or you get nothing but negative feedback?
No, that's what Ashley, she is we are very vigilant on our customer service. We make dozens and dozens of calls, hundreds a week to our customers. And she takes notes and I read the notes. But what's being brought to me is, that's what they tell you over the phone, but this is what they're saying about you behind your back.
Well, is there any benchmarking? Like, what's the average salon? That must be true of many businesses.
Most salons in the Black hair care market don't ask.
Right. So everybody, you've been to a salon. Did you love every second of it?
No.
Right. So there you go. I mean, I will give you a comment on a slightly different context, because I'm very worried about negative comments from clients too, and try to never have any. And if we do, we fix it, and it's often extremely expensive. And there's a guy I know who had a manufacturing business, and he said, if 5% of your customers aren't complaining, you're spending too much fixing problems. You need to be taking that time and attention and concentrate on growing your business. Don't worry about that, which I disagree with to a certain extent. If 5% of my customers were complaining, my life would be hell. But there's a valid point in there, which is that you're not ever going to be able to please everybody. And you just need to know whether you're running off the road or not. And I think that focusing on any particular comment is just going to make you feel bad. And you should really be thinking about, okay, well, what's the overall picture of what's happening?
Right. And I'm a solutions-based person. So when it's just negative, and that's what Ashley said. Ashley's like, you can't just give Dana negative. And then there's all this judgment to question my business savvy. The people who are complaining, well, I own a business and I know this is not how things are done.
Is there a common thread to the complaints? Is there some issue that you think you should be addressing?
We're trying to find it. The common issue is she doesn't know what she's doing.
There's a certain part of this, to Paul's point with the manufacturer or making desks or framing pictures. I agree with Paul. I don't want 5% of my customers unhappy because there's no reason for it. But when you're doing people's hair, that is the nature of the beast. That's like taking, I'm in Chicago, give a pizza to 100 people. Some people are going to say, this is food of the gods. And some people are going to go, this is the worst crap I've ever eaten. It's the nature of the beast. There are going to be some people that just don't like what you're doing by the nature of what you do. So there's going to be some people that aren't happy. And this comes back to, how long have I known you? The very first time I met you, you did a speech in New York. And I will still remember the phrase. I'm still laughing about it. You said, yes, I don't do messy.
I don't do messy. Right.
That is the problem. You still haven't gotten over that. Business is messy. You need to manage the messy. You still think naively you're going to get every single person happy and everything's going to go perfectly. And that's just not what business is.
No, Jay, I don't think I'm going to make everybody happy. I'm just surprised. I guess what hurts is how nasty it is. It's personal. But what I can't understand is, why are you so nasty? It's like we intentionally set out to make you upset.
I can tell you, it's real easy. It's the 7 deadly sins. People are jealous. To anyone getting that nasty on you, there's something wrong. Why would they possibly?
There's something wrong with that.
There's something wrong with that picture, and that. So this isn't about you. And I'm not saying there's not things to look at that probably you could be doing some things better. I'm not ignoring it all.
Exactly.
But to get that nasty, there's more to it than I either sat too long in the chair or I was not there long enough. I don't know which one it is, but hair styling is very personal.
Is there something that you should be doing to reach out to the people who are complaining and try to get more information?
We are doing it. We have a whole process for first visit people. Even if we sense in the salon that you don't like something, you may not have said anything. You're going to get a call from us. We have a whole call process. And now I'm upgrading that process. So it will include transcripts and recorded calls of the call. Like we're already doing 10 times more than any other, independent stylist would do. We can still have people operating on the floor and then have someone in the back office calling and speaking to customers. And so that's what we do. We email, we call. Even if we heard, it's not even just about complaints. It's about things going on in your personal life. If we hear your mom or dad or a loved one is sick, hey, we're following up. How are you doing? We heard. So we really do our best to go above and beyond. And one lady was concerned that why aren't people talking to me more? Why isn't this salon more hype? It's too quiet. I need it to be more hype.
I was just going to say, it seems to me like some of the people coming in, it's hairstyling and they want a new friend. And that's not what you do. You get the hairstyling and you move them on. That there are some people that want to spend the whole afternoon and have a new friend to talk to, and they're upset when they're insulted by them being moved along. It's not the right service for them.
It's exactly. And so that's the conclusion.
Well, Dana, let me ask you a question. What is your pre-written, we're not a good fit for each other, goodbye letter?
It's not even a letter. It's a conversation.
No. That's your mistake right there.
No.
At a certain point, you got to be able to just be like, you know what? We've done everything that we can reasonably do. We're sorry you're not happy with our service. We suggest you go find somebody. Goodbye. And just cut it.
Right. We don't take their address. We were doing that via email. They weren't getting the emails. Now we have a documented conversation. That's why we stopped doing the email, because they would give us their junk mail email because they don't want their email bombarded from all the places that they patronize. So now we have a conversation based on their service history with us, based on their complaints. And we say, we do not believe we are the salon for you, but we do hope that you find a salon. We have one or two recommendations, but salons don't like that. Stylists like, well, if you don't want them, don't give them to me. So we stopped making the recommendations. But we do have that. We just had that conversation earlier this week with a longtime customer who flares up every 6 months to a year when we don't give her a refund for something we don't do. So she'll ask for a service, and then we'll do it. Well, this isn't what I wanted. I want my money back. So we go, we've always said in the almost 9 years we don't offer refunds. And so we've had that conversation with her because emails don't work and we don't take their address to send them an email.
There's a problem there. You just said you don't do the service, but then you did the service.
No. So let me be clear. She wanted a rinse. Then she said, I want to rinse just on the bottom half of my hair. We don't do rinses on the bottom half of your hair. So you're not going to do, because when we did it, this is not what I wanted. Even though we told you and you said, go ahead. Again, it's back to Paul and your guys' point. It's not always us. Sometimes it's them. And when it's consistently them, we're more than ready to let that relationship go. And we have that conversation. We tried via email. It doesn't work. So I didn't get that email.
So what percentage of the people you reach out to are happy and how many of them are mad?
Yes. And sometimes it's like 70 to 74%. Lately, it's been over 85%.
Mad or happy?
Happy.
Well, there you go. You're doing great.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. We're doing
Declare
great.
victory. Stop worrying about it.
Here's the problem. One word. Ready? Dana. You need to grow up and realize you're not making everyone happy with this because it's impossible, and get over it and say, okay, I got 85. And I'm not saying don't keep trying, but you can't seriously expect that 100% of the people are going to be thrilled with your service. That's just not the way life works.
I'm not expecting that. I don't think it's a matter of growing up. I think it's a matter of you have an owner that is very impassioned about giving this service to this group of women. And even though I don't expect them to everybody to love it. What I don't expect when you're inviting a guest into your home and you're serving them, I don't expect them to pull their pants down and take a duke on my table.
Well, some of them do, though.
And some of them, right. And some of them do, but then they get mad at you. And I don't think I have to grow up because I wasn't expecting them to do that.
No, you need to grow up. You need to grow up and realize to stop taking this personally, for God's sakes. It's just like the difference between me and you is I worked in my father's dime store since I was 6 years old. I grew up with customers. This is still new to you that you're taking this personally. You can hear it in your voice. You're upset. They're attacking you.
Because they're saying Dana this, Dana that.
Yeah, so what?
Right. So what?
That's their problem.
Yeah, whatever. It's like that's the nature of business. People are not, and they're being more. Do I excuse it? No, I think it's terrible. They're being that vicious to you, but like, whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, the other thing is that you could set up your company so that you don't have to hear that.
Oh, I did. I have it set up, and that brings more backlash. Who does she think she is? Oh, she's too good to talk to me?
Yeah, she is. Basically. You know, like we hold, when I'm dealing with troublesome clients, my first thing is my frontline people deal with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm only there if we want to salvage the situation. Mm-hmm. Like they pull me out and they say, okay, you got to talk to these people. And I go in and I salvage the situation. But if it's just a goodbye, like, no, they don't need to get to me.
Exactly.
You're not a public utility. You're not a resource for everybody who feels like it to come and take a few punches at.
Exactly.
So act like it. You understand it. Now start doing it.
Dana, it sounds to me like it's not that this problem has gotten worse. It's that you're more sensitive to it right now because you're going through the franchising process. Would that be correct?
Yes. I didn't realize that until you just said it. I think one, it's because the new social media manager sent some of it to me and then was a little baffled as to why I wouldn't. And I said, oh, you send it to this person. And she's like, oh. And it wasn't an, I get it. It was, oh, really? Well, you don't want to know? And it's like, it's not that I don't want to know, but Ashley said it's not that she doesn't want to know. Dana's about to launch a national franchise business. Like, she doesn't have time for this. Like, this is what I do. And so and you guys are absolutely right. And I think I will go along with Jay saying, yeah, you got to grow up a little bit. Yeah, because it's a matter of putting myself in the perspective. It's like me wanting a personal assistant. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to be the person who talk to my assistant. But if you're doing things that, based on the pro forma, I'll have 20 of these in 2 years. Yeah, you're going to need you're going to have rapid growth and you can't do it all. And you can't care what people think about what you need to do to perform. If you need to perform better by giving your customer complaints to another person, then that's what you need to do. If you need to perform better by having a personal assistant, grow up, tighten your bra strap, and get a personal assistant and forget what people who don't. Are
you looking for a personal assistant, Dana?
I am.
a live one or a virtual one?
A live one. And then we could probably move to virtual, but I need a live personal assistant.
How old is your social media person?
I believe she's in her early 30s.
Okay. The part of this process is educating her, because I can see where she's rather taken aback. Don't you want to know when people aren't happy? She needs to be explained to her, listen, here's the way it is. There's some people that are used to going to the salon and they want to be best friends with the person. That's not what we do. There's going to be some unhappy people. I know that for me to read all these, frankly, just gets into my head. And I've got someone who's professional that's going to take care of this. So explain to them, and then they'll say, oh, okay, now I get it. You do need to help them understand why you're blowing. Otherwise, it looks like you're just blowing them off. But in fact, there's a method to your, thinking.
Laura Zander, she did a great job of explaining it to me this week. She said, you need a social media manager, not a social media secretary. The secretary just brings you the messages, right?
Ooh,
this is what they're saying
Laura.
about you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she said, she goes, no, you need somebody who's not going to bring that to you and just crafts a social media campaign addressing the concerns she's heard. And I said, you're absolutely right. And so you're absolutely right too, Jay. I think we've had that conversation with her. And then when we meet up to do our review of how we've been doing so far, I will reiterate that to her. But you guys are right. There's some growing up that needs to be done.
No one has ever personally, in general, personally attack me the way you're getting and I do feel bad about that. You're getting it from some people that really, for whatever reason they're doing it. I am sorry that you're subjected to that, because I don't believe that.
Well, I think part of it is because Dana's disrupting the industry. You're doing something different, and you're attracting some clients who like it the way it's always been and aren't happy with the change. Is that right?
And are taking it personally.
Absolutely, Lauren. Great. I mean, Lauren, for the win today, right? Like, two things. Lauren's like, yeah, you're super sensitive to it because you're franchising. And the other thing is that you're doing something disruptive, and people want what you have in the traditional way, and it can't be that way. So you got to just keep moving forward and do what you do.
You have to find the right clients and make sure people understand exactly what it is you're offering.
Exactly.
So back to my formula of success. A, it is what it is. Okay, there's going to be some people that are taking it to deal with it. You are dealing with it. 3, you're not doing anything wrong. You're trying to take care of customers. And the last piece is like, I have different versions of the last piece. We'll keep this one clean.
No, Say it.
Fuck 'em. What can I tell you? Really, really, like, they want to get that vicious on you. Like, you know what? That's their issue, and I'm sorry. And you don't say it out loud, but you cannot take this personally, and it's in your head. And like I said, you are getting it 20 times worse than I've ever gotten it, and I'm sorry for that, but you're pioneering a new way.
That's awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Paul, what's your FUD level like?
It's like none.
About business? It's pretty low.
That's good.
The lady who had the issue with the cybercrime, she actually paid me in full last week.
Wow.
Sent me the other $63,000.
Wow.
What prompted that? How did that happen?
I don't know.
We think
Let's review. You had, this is a cyber attack. You had a vendor who tried to pay you. The payments were diverted to someone in Texas, and you went back to the vendor and tried to get them to pay you again properly.
Right.
And you're telling us that it finally worked and you got the money.
She did not want to take responsibility for the basically a theft from her company, and didn't really want to believe and acknowledge that it had been her accounting team that had done this, and tried to, on several occasions, get me to file an insurance claim for it, which would have been fraud. And I had to have my lawyer send her a nasty letter. And we have some potential ongoing business, so I didn't really want to go all the way to the end of the process with her. I just decided to wait, and I guess maybe she made an insurance claim or whatever. She had the money and she sent it to me in 3 payments over 2.5 months. But we got the last payment last week, and now I'm like, great, I'll never trust her again, and I will be very careful with her organization, but we're paid in full.
Did you learn anything through this that you should do differently, or was this just a weird one-off event that is what it is?
Well, you could certainly call it a weird one-off event, because it's been in business for 36 years, and I've done business with thousands and thousands of people, and we've never had anything like this happen before. But given that there seems to be such a rise in cybercrime and a total inability on the part of law enforcement to do anything about it, I would say that the lesson is you need to be careful. You need to be careful about confirming bank information and making sure that your own house is in order, so that if something like this happens, like I could point to, I've engaged since the beginning of the year a net security firm that was able to audit our emails and make sure we hadn't been spoofed and sent any directions, or somebody hadn't used our email addresses to direct this client to send these payments anywhere else. Like, we were able to, as far as possible, prove that it wasn't our fault. And so to the extent that the people you do business with are vulnerable to being hacked, you can't control that, but you can certainly get your own house in order. So I'm spending significant money this year on security in general that I've never spent before.
Is some of that prompted by all the stories about the ransomware issues?
It was really prompted by a set of Defense Department directives that we got in the fall that said, hey, if you want to do business with the Defense Department, you need to be able to conform to these protocols, which are very strict. And we do a lot of business with the Defense Department, so I got going and trying to do the protocols. So it just happened that I spent all this money and did all this stuff, and then we had an incident almost immediately where I was glad I did it. And of course, it rarely works out that way. Usually you spend all the money and do all this stuff and nothing happens. But it wasn't because of the stories. It was because I kind of had to, but I'm glad I did.
Do you feel as though you have set up procedures that will protect you from the kind of ransomware issues that we're reading so much about?
Everybody in my company is more aware of it, and I doubt that we would be invulnerable to a really sophisticated attack, because it seems that really sophisticated attackers can do pretty much anything they feel like. But for ordinary things like someone getting a hold of into our server and encrypting it, I believe we are protected by that. At least that's what my vendor assures me. And we've upgraded, and I hope I'm in decent shape.
What's the nature of the insurance that you have? Would that cover you for a ransomware attack?
I don't have specific ransomware insurance because I looked into it a couple of years ago, and they gave me a checklist of here's the things you need to do before we'll even think about selling you a policy. And it was a pretty extensive checklist, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing that, because I would have had to do it personally. And there wasn't nobody was screaming at me to get that stuff done at that point. But then when the Defense Department came out with their new protocols, it pretty much, like if we were fully compliant with all those things, it would have easily cleared the bar where I could have bought the insurance. But also, if I am fully compliant, you're in pretty good shape in terms of being able to resist these attacks. So, because they're designed for a Lockheed Martin to be able to not get hacked. They're very extensive, and they include all kinds of things that are quite complicated to implement.
Jay, I think the last time this came up, we talked about cyber insurance. You said you were going to first find out what cyber insurance is and then see if you have it. Did you do that?
I've been busy. As soon as we're done here, seriously, I'm going to redouble and find out what the story is, because I'm not blowing this off. I do know someone with a similar sized business to mine that did get hacked, and I am going to, it's been hard because nobody's in the office. All the people involved are home, so it's not like I'm having my regular meeting. No, it's concerning, and I will convene the people together and figure out what we're doing and should we be doing more.
When your team is at home, that's actually kind of a bad thing in terms of we got a hack incident about a year ago that I'm not sure I mentioned it, where I was away one day and somebody spoofed an email to one of my employees.
But what does that mean, spoof?
They sent an email to one of my employees that appeared to come from me. Very convincing. And that said, hey, I'm going to give a surprise bonus to all the employees, so go buy $5,000 worth of gift cards from Walmart and then send me the numbers on the back. And this guy thought that that's something that I might possibly do, which maybe not, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, since I'm a communist at heart, as Jay tells me.
Socialist.
And so he did it. And then I walked in the next morning and he handed me all the gift cards and he said, here's the gift cards you got, boss. And I was like, oh no, knew what had happened immediately. But when your employees are isolated from each other, I think they're more vulnerable to those kind of human hacks, because there's not somebody right next to them they can turn to and say, does this seem real? Or they can't come and ask you quite so easily.
Did he send the numbers to this?
Oh yeah, we were out $5,000. It sucked.
And I just have to ask the question, and looking at this employee, have they done other? That's kind of frightening to me that somebody would do that. Is that someone that does other stuff that's not too smart? Because that doesn't sound too smart to me, given what's going on in the world.
Well, this was a year and a half ago.
All right.
So it wasn't headline news. And it's one of those things where he's a good employee, and he's the kind of person who, if I said to him, go do this, he jumps up and does it. And it wasn't entirely out of character for me to give people bonuses. So I would say that I chalk this up to the story of I can't remember who it was, Warren Buffett or somebody, who one of his managers had made a mistake that cost him $2 million. And he said, and someone asked him, did you fire that guy over that? And he says, no, I just spent $2 million to educate him. So that's sort of how I took that one.
I don't disagree. I have had stuff. I have had people get emails similar from me, and they always call me.
But, it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, it can be more sophisticated. It can look like it's coming from an HR department or from the Social Security Administration. And it's, we need this and we need that. And people do get fooled by it, which is why a lot of companies educate their employees by putting them through training.
That's what we did.
You did do that.
Well, when we engaged this firm at the beginning of this year, they did a whole series of seminars, and they send us a little email every week, and it's just to keep it top of mind.
Jay, have you thought about ransomware? Do you know what it is?
I believe I've got to talk to my attorney before. I know my CFO is on it, but I'm going to verify. I will go through with him, but it's not like he's on it.
If you Google what should a small business do to prepare for a ransomware attack, one of the things they tell you is that, the way it works is they get into your computer system and they lock it up, and you're paralyzed. You can't do anything unless you pay the ransom. The one protection that everybody advises against that is you need to back up everything and have it backed up somewhere else, not on your system, so that if your system gets locked up, you've got all your data and everything available, and you can kind of reboot and get restarted.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, please tell me. What have you done?
When I engaged these guys, we had an offsite backup every day. And what they said is that the way we had it set it up, it was okay, you're backing up the data, but what we weren't backing up was an actual image of our server, so that we wouldn't have been able to just take the infected server and throw it away and get a new one and reinstall everything. We would only have a copy of the data. And so that there's I'm not technically adept enough to be sure this is true, but apparently there's a couple of different levels of what a backup could consist of. And we now have a complete offsite backup that at the end of the day, we could throw away all our computers, get new ones, and start over again, and we'd be okay.
Did you hear that, Jay?
Okay, there's a difference here between Paul and I. I have a CFO that's been here for 20-some years who I believe is on this. Paul doesn't have that. So Paul's the guy doing this stuff as he should be doing it. I'm not the guy that does this, but I certainly am going to follow up after this conversation and find out where we're at on it. But I believe he's doing all the stuff right. We have had consultants come in. My guess is we should be doing more.
Jay, if your CFO were doing all this, I think you would know about it.
No, you don't know how it works. No, that's not true. My CFO.
Well, the other thing would be it shouldn't be him doing it. He's a CFO. He's not a cybersecurity expert.
I got 130 employees, 4 businesses. I don't know of every single thing that's going on in this company. I'm guilty as charged. I'm just telling you. With that being said, I'm not staking my life that everything can be done right. I will follow up on this conversation, but there's a good chance that everything's being done as it should be. I will follow up the next time you ask me.
I hear a little FUD in your voice, Jay.
No, I don't get FUD. I'm FUDless.
FUDless.
Dana, you're going to have to worry about this too, especially when you're a national franchise operation.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You are a fudder.
I'm a FUD.
You are the FUD. No, Lauren's the fudder. You'll notice Lauren always tries to get us to talk about something. You're a FUD enabler.
He's not. He actually, all of you just kind of, did the magic eraser on the FUD today. It was good. Lauren came with the Powerhouse 2 questions, and I said, well, that's it.
I'll tell you what's a little disappointing to me. Obviously, they've got this phrase in the industry, FUD, right? And your consultants, I don't think what we just told you, I think they should have told you. I think they do this for a living. I think they should be a little more hands-on with the owner to understand where their head's at and say, listen, people go through this. Here's the issue. I think they did. Okay.
Yes, they did. But here's the thing. You guys did it a little bit more in detail because you know me better.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, you've known me for years.
That's fair.
I want to actually comment on one thing Jay said, which is that the consultant should have warned you. They should have warned you, but you should never only believe the consultant. Like, you always have to look at multiple sources of advice.
That's why she's got us.
Because those guys need you to pay the bill and need you to move forward, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get over your FUD. But there may be a moment when your instincts to not do something that they're telling you to do are actually correct. And you don't want to just have one source of information. Like, you want to bring it to your friends and people who know you and other business sources and then make a decision.
I agree.
Well, obviously, they also understand because they coined the phrase FUD. And so they're dealing with, tons of entrepreneurs who are franchising their business and know that this is something that they go through. But whether it's the FUD, whether it's the viability, whether it's culture and training, whether it's, the prospect of potential franchisees, I never go to one source. I have a board of advisors, if you will, of which I'm proud to say Jay is one of them. Laura is another one of them, where I go, hey, does this look right to you? Does this smell right? And that's why I'm so thankful for the time on this show today. We spent a lot of time sorting through the FUD because you're right. People come to you with their own agenda. And I find that this show is very agenda-less. The agenda is peace of mind and business success, and however you define that.
The fact is, some of the people with FUD have legitimate problems that, to Paul's point, that maybe they shouldn't be franchising. And these people are probably not going to go, you know what, we didn't realize that when we first met you. We should rethink this. There's probably some people that do discover some things along the way that realize this isn't right for them. How could that not happen?
We're running short of time. Jay, I want to catch up on your business. About a month ago, when you were here, you were excited, kind of crowing that after 18 months, you'd finally gotten a bank to agree to give you the loan you were looking for. What did you decide to do with all of your loot?
Well, it was a mortgage, and I do have this bank that's ready to go.
No, but you had it all done.
No, it was done, except they kept putting more strings on it. Oh, we want you to move your regular account to us. No, I'm not doing that. So in the meanwhile...
So wait a second, that loan fell through?
No, it didn't fall through. It's right in the middle of, let me finish. I'm going to tell you the whole story. So this new bank keeps telling me, oh, and we want this and we want that. And finally I go, enough. It's only a 45% loan to value on the building. I'm not giving you all my inventory. There's no reason for me to do that. So in the meanwhile, I call the new banker and I go, I got to ask you a silly question. Have things changed at the bank? Do you think they'd be interested in doing this loan? She calls me back and she says, oh, they're excited about doing this loan. Really? Because they weren't up until now. So she's led me to believe that today they're going to want to do the loan.
I mean, this is the bottom line. You actually have not closed a loan.
I didn't close it because I chose the guy just left me a message right before we came on this. He's ready to close. And I told him I got to wait to see if the other bank wants to do it because it'll be easier to do it with my existing bank.
Oh, God.
You never know what to believe. I'm getting a complete opposite story now from this existing bank. It used to be they didn't want to do the loan. Now they're surprised that they didn't do the loan. And I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on there. All I know is today I should find out whether I'm going to get the loan from one of them for sure.
All right. Tune in 2023.
No. Well, here's the joke. I don't really need the money anymore because, frankly, things are going nicely, but I'm still going to take the loan out because I want extra cash. That's if I've learned anything from this pandemic, always have extra cash laying around.
Yep, take the money.
Jay, does this say anything about the general ability of small businesses to access credit through banks, or is this another just weird one-off situation?
No, absolutely. I believe behind the scenes, these bankers, only one of them, actually, he said this to me. The guy used to be my banker. He went to another bank. He actually said to me on the phone out loud, he said, we're no longer giving loans to retailers or anyone in hospitality. He actually said that out loud.
Wow.
When was that?
3 months ago. So I think the difference between him and the other banks, he told me the truth. The rest of them don't want to say it out loud. They are under the impression that every retailer is going to go out of business.
Would this have been easier for you or harder for you if you were going for a loan to expand your business?
That's not even an option. No, there's no way I would have gotten a loan for that. That's what's so sick about this. I'm only looking for 45% loan to value on very hot real estate. Like, this is an extremely conservative loan. And I'm telling you, I don't think the banks ever recovered from 2008 in their heads. I don't believe this would have been the case 20 years ago if I was doing it. But I've literally talked to six banks, many of which they've known me for 30 years. We've done the lunches. Here's the key word. This is the key word when they tell you relationship. We're looking for a relationship. Punch him in the face. That's what you should do. When I hear that word, I cringe. I go, please stop with your relationship stuff, because I know the second there's any kind of blimp, there's no relationship. And I have to tell you, 43 years, never left, never been asked to leave a bank, never missed a bank payment, got an over 800 credit score. Like it's really remarkable. They're afraid of their shadows now. So I don't know what the story is, but I will absolutely have a loan signed by next week.
All right. Well, I'll bet you $10. I'll bet you $10 you do not.
We're going to follow up on that one. My thanks to Paul Downs, Jay Goltz, and Dana White. As always, guys, thanks so much for sharing. Wait, don't leave yet. If you have a question or a comment that you'd like the 21 Hats owners to address, send it to me by replying to your morning report or by email at lauren@21hats.com. That's LOREN@21hats.com. Do it now before you forget. And don't be afraid to tell Jay what you really think. He can take it. And if you got something out of this conversation, help us reach more business owners. Tell a friend. Subscribe and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to the Morning Report at 21hats.com. This episode was produced by Jess Thuberon, founder of Blank Word Productions. Okay, now you can leave. Thanks for listening, everyone.